In January of 2024, a voter in suburban Wisconsin watched a televised town hall while folding laundry after her night shift. When Kamala Harris spoke about reproductive freedom, the panel discussion that followed lingered less on policy than on her cadence. Too sharp, too rehearsed, too something. Minutes later, a clip of cock Donald Trump promising to crush his opponents aired, and the same commentators praised his commanding presence. The voter didn't need a gender studies textbook to notice the pattern. Her body recognized it before her mind named it. This is how patriarchy has been shaping the 2024-2026 election cycle, not as a banner, but as a reflex. It operates through expectations so normalized they feel like common sense. Power is supposed to sound a certain way. Leadership is supposed to look like someone who never apologizes. Care is supposed to be private, emotional, and secondary. When candidates deviate from that script, the deviation becomes the story. The effect is measurable. Studies of media coverage show that women candidates are still asked more questions about personality and family than about policy. During the 2024 primary season, male candidates who raised their voices were described as passionate. Women who did the same were framed as volatile. The language matters because it trains voters, subtly and repeatedly, in who is permitted authority without penalty. Patriarchy does not need to persuade voters explicitly, it conditions them. Nowhere is this clearer than in debates over bodily autonomy. After the Dobbs decision, abortion returned to the ballot in state after state, yet the framing often felt frozen in a paternal past. In legislative hearings and campaign speeches, pregnancy was discussed as a problem to be regulated, not a lived reality. Doctors warned about rising maternal mortality. Women testified about emergency care denied. Lawmakers, overwhelmingly male, responded with hypotheticals and moral abstractions. The underlying assumption was quiet but firm. Control is governance. Trust is a risk. A nurse in Texas, campaigning locally in 2025 for candidates who promised to restore abortion access, put it bluntly at a town forum. "They talk about us like we're scenarios, not people." That sentence never made national headlines. It didn't need to. It named the architecture. Patriarchy also shapes what counts as a serious issue. Candidates who foreground childcare, elder care, and paid leave are routinely told they are focusing on kitchen table concerns, as if kitchens were not where the economy quietly runs. Meanwhile, proposals for expanded policing or military spending are treated as inherently weighty, even when their outcomes are ambiguous. This hierarchy of concern is gendered at its core. It elevates domination over maintenance, punishment over prevention. It forgets that societies collapse not only from invasion, but from exhaustion. The cycle's rhetoric around masculinity makes the pattern harder to ignore. Several campaigns have leaned openly into grievance, suggesting that social change has weakened the nation and that restoration requires force. The message is less about policy than posture. Be hard, be unyielding, be in charge. Historically, this language spikes when traditional hierarchies feel threatened. In 2024 and 2025, it has been used to reframe pluralism as chaos and empathy as indulgence. Patriarchy sells certainty in uncertain times, even when that certainty is a performance. Local races absorb these cues. School board elections in 2026 have turned into flashpoints over whose knowledge counts and whose identities are appropriate. Candidates who advocate inclusive curricula are accused of indoctrination. Those who demand bans are described as protectors. The family is invoked as sacred, but only in one configuration. Authority is defended as neutral, even as it enforces a narrow norm. What makes patriarchy durable is not malice, but familiarity. It feels like order. It sounds like leadership. It flatters those who fit its mold and disciplines those who don't. When candidates lose under its rules, women are told they miscalculated. When men lose, they are encouraged to question the system itself. Power once assumed resists being returned. Elections are collective rehearsals. They teach us over and over what to reward. The 2024-2026 cycle shows a country negotiating whether authority must look like dominance or whether it can look like responsibility. Whether care is a private weakness or of public strength, whether leadership requires a clenched fist or a steady hand. Patriarchy has shaped the terms of that negotiation for generations. The question now is whether voters will keep mistaking the old script for inevitability, or recognize it for what it is, a habit that can be broken.